I'm Ray,
And I'm Janelle.
and you're watching BB Talk
Number 12.
12.
Yeah.
What does the number 12 mean numerically?
Well, adds up to 3, so it's a number of communication. Hence,
Hmm.
we're here communicating.
Hmm.
So, yeah. Because
Okay.
that's really just like what this is supposed to just be about is like,
Open
yes, we're
communication.
like recording and everything, and it's like a podcast style, but it's really just like us talking together and just like debriefing about like, things that we've
Life.
learned and life and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, it's,
All
it's
right.
it's not like I'm interviewing you or you're interviewing me.
We're
We're
just
just providing
talking.
our story. We're just telling stories. That's all it is. So
Okay. So, what would the first topic be today?
the first thing is I found a video of a relationship question, and I wanted to get your opinion on what you think about it.
I need the male gender to answer some questions that I have because I'm very confused and I need answers and I need to understand your thought process or what's going on in your head when this is happening. Okay, let's get right into it. So let's say that you were just in a relationship, a long-term relationship, like year, 2 years, 3 years, anyways, just not short-term relationship. And the girl, from what you tell me, that she's perfect. She's funny, she's fun, she's interested in all the things you're interested in. She shows you unconditional love. She's always there for you. She does everything she can to like make your life easier, to make sacrifices for you. Like she, from what you have told me, sounds like she's the one. And then you break that relationship off. For what reason? I don't really know. And then 3 months later or a few months later, you're in a new relationship. And then you tell me that you're fully ready to love this person and that you think they're the one and you want to get engaged to them. And when I ask you what makes this different from the girl that you were dating before, because she sounded perfect, you just are like, I don't know. So can someone explain it to me, please? Because this makes no sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So the summary of that is basically just like she's noticed that when a guy gets into a relationship with a girl, and he's like, oh, like I'm trying to love you as much as I can, and then they break up, and then he has another relationship, and he's like, oh, I love this girl just as much. You know what I'm saying? So what do you think about that?
I mean, clearly she asked a question for guys, so I can only speak on what I think.
What do you think it is as a woman? Why do you think guys can like seem so overly committing in one relationship, break it off, and then get in another relationship, and then like feel that same sense of like overcommitting, over loving?
But the thing is, she was saying that that first girl, she was like almost there, but then the second girl was like it that she got engaged to. Is that what it is?
Maybe.
I think that was the point. I think the point of the video is like the first girl, they seem so in love, but then like she doesn't get like, yeah, he breaks up with her, but then the second girl's the one that actually gets the ring and stuff. So I think it's more like it depends on the guy, of course, but I think a lot of these scenarios, I'm assuming the guys are younger and it's the first time that they're, experiencing a love of this magnitude. And I feel like it's just I don't know, it could be like commitment issues or I mean they're committed, but it could just be like similar to what that girl commented in the video, which we'll get into later, but I think when a girl like overly commits to a guy and doesn't communicate her boundaries and she does this all before they're even boyfriend and girlfriend, I feel like the guy just like gets too much in the beginning and then he gets used to it and then he just kind of gets away with like not like treating like he gets like that wife treatment without really being committed like that and the chase is kind of like ruined for him.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's kind of what I think.
That makes a lot of sense. Actually, I would say like to answer this because I think what she was asking was like how can guys seem so overly committing and then loving in one relationship, break up, and then date another girl like a month or 2 months later and have that same amount of just like overly committing and like love bombing and stuff like that. I think, well, like as a guy, I would say it's part like love bombing, which is just like you just front load a lot of emotion in the beginning of the relationship, and then it's also part of just like being addicted to the chase because the only way that a guy can basically get into a relationship, be like, oh my God, I love her, I'm going to marry her after a month, break up with that person, get into another relationship and do the exact same thing, where he's like, oh my God, I'm going to love her and she's the mother of my children and stuff like that, break up with that person, go to the next person and say the same stuff over and over. The only reason that that would be happening over and over again is if he is completely addicted to the chase phase, because I'm not sure if you have any experience with like multiple chase phases, but like some people are just addicted to the chase phase, which is just like the like butterflies in your stomach, like feeling all the time.
Right.
That's the kind of feeling that they're just like chasing, and they just keep chasing the dragon, and they think they're gonna get that feeling again by just like love bombing in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't, like, if you're a guy and you know what you want and you really do want a wife and you do want a family in the future, then you're not going to treat it as if though, like, I know from the first month or 2 months or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely inexperienced guys. It's also just like guys thinking that that's
It's supposed to be.
how it's supposed to be, how to do it, because they don't have any guidance on how to act in the beginning of the relationship. Just as much how girls don't have much guidance how they should act in the beginning of the relationship either. Like, you're not supposed to give up like you're not supposed to sleep with them so early, because that's like, that sets the precedent that, okay, cool, if I just, get into a relationship with this person, then it's like there's no more mystery. But also, it, by giving it up on the first date, for example, most of the time, not every time, we know some people that have a good experience with this, but most of the time, if you give it up on the first date, for example, then the guy's just going to be like, oh, she's easy. You know what I'm saying? And subconsciously, we know that the mother of our children is not easy. They're not, like, they're more pure. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to have kids with a hoe. You know what I'm saying? So it's really just like, I really think it's just like addicted to the chase phase, not really knowing what to do as a guy that are fairly inexperienced, and then you just love bomb front load in the beginning of the relationship, and then it's just thinking that that's how it's supposed to be when it's obviously not.
When guys like love bomb, generally speaking, do they have like malicious intent to like love bomb, knowing that the girl will get attached and just like, have sex with them, or do guys like do it because they actually feel like they want to, like, mother, or not mother, but like they want to do all the things that they say to women?
They do it big. Well, the thing is, they don't do it with the idea of. Well, we're talking about inexperienced guys, right? Experienced guys, they don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Experienced guys hold themselves to a higher standard and like a higher esteem. But like inexperienced guys, they think they have to do that. So they're not doing it with malicious intent, in the sense that I'm going to do this so I can have her fall in love with me. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if that is the case, that is a fuckboy, right? But just an inexperienced guy that is just, he doesn't know whether he wants to be a fuckboy or a family man. Because like the thing is, like,
That's scary.
it's, the younger we are, the more we see opportunity as something that we can just take advantage of. You know what I'm saying? So in guys' younger years, they're only going to be as loyal as their options, right? But that being said, it's just they don't do it with malicious intent unless they're a fuckboy. If they're a fuckboy, then yes, they would.
Yeah.
Because they just want to fuck, right? So, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll say whatever I need to. I'll do whatever I need to. Just be with this person, like sleep with them, and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? But if an inexperienced guy does it, it's not as much about malicious intent as it is, they just don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, maybe what you just said could be an indicator for that girl specifically, or other girls. Can you talk more about how guys, or are you saying guys are as loyal as their options, or people in general are as loyal as their options?
Young guys from like 15 to 25, between 25 to 30, it dawns on them, shit, I'm getting older. And then their early 30s is where they're just like,
Generally speaking.
yeah, generally speaking, it's like the evolution of a man's mind is like every 10 years, right? So at 30, it's like, okay, that's when the idea of family and home and peace and like those become more important. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying that younger guys are as loyal as their options, meaning like a guy will be with a girl and then potentially he'll see another girl and there'll be some indication that he can get her and then he'll break up with her and then he'll be with her.
Could be. Could be. That's more like fuckboy behavior. Because what girls have to understand is that, like, as guys grow up from like the age of 15 to like 25, like that 10-year period, everything is still new to them. You know what I'm saying? Everything is still like super exciting, you know? The only reason you're chasing like sex with just like different people all the time is because it's exciting, you know? Once the excitement wears off, which is what happens after 25, it starts, and then like into your 30s, it like really, you really understand as a guy what your
Yeah.
priorities are. And then yeah, it's because what girls have to understand is like guys, in terms of their communication part of their brain, is naturally not as strong as women's communication part of their brain, right? So, but guys don't realize this. You know what I'm saying? It's like you see the play, but you don't know what's happening behind the stage. You know what I'm saying? And when guys are young, they just see the play. They don't see all the stuff happening behind the scenes, where girls understand this much more, you know?
Do you feel like social media has ruined our generation of dating?
1000%. 1000%, because the access to just like perfect people or whatever is just right there on our phone. And what happens is we think that's the thing to aspire to. That's the thing to get. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the times we see those things and then we compare ourselves to that, wanting to be more like that because it seems like a more exciting life. You know what I'm saying? But in order to get any achievements that you post on Instagram, for example, the amount of hell and shit and chaos that they had to go through to get there, that is never seen. So you only see the results. You know what I'm saying? It's like when a girl is pregnant, it's like everyone congratulates her on being pregnant, but nobody knows how often she had to try to get pregnant. You know what I'm saying? They just see the
true.
reward, they don't see the work that got into it, right? So
Yeah.
as we rewire ourselves to just like see, okay, this is the thing to get to, people just have unrealistic expectations and they think sleeping around is normal when it's not.
So like what advice do you have for younger people that actually want to have a family, and like how do we give them, because we are like that. We were part of this younger generation that actually wanted to be, not have to go through the hookup culture of it all, and we actually wanted to settle down and have like, we're not like the rest of the world in that sense, but we met each other online.
Yeah.
Like how do you give hope for people like that don't actually want to like hook up with people and they actually want to find their person when we actually live in this like dating culture and social media culture?
Sure. I mean, so all of the social media apps are intention based, right? So I would say get crystal clear on your intentions, on what you actually want.
Yeah.
Because saying or thinking that, oh, I just want to have sex with multiple people, like subconsciously, that's not what you want. That's just kind of what you want right now,
Right.
But get crystal clear on your intentions, what you actually want long term, and think, my life now in 5 years, 10 years, what does that look like? What would I like,
Yeah, like I think that, and for women, what you said, know what you want, but act accordingly. Like if you don't want a hookup partner and you want a husband, then don't hook up with him. Like set your intentions and like be about your words. Like kind of like what we did,
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, don't knock it until you try it. And especially because the probability of like maybe not finding your person right away on the apps is very likely. I don't want to say be willing to go through like those fuckboys, but know that possibility is there. But it just takes that one person to, like, for us, it just took us meeting. But prior to meeting, we had to go through some not pleasant experiences on dating apps. So I say if you're really willing, you know, be open to those possibilities, and just don't give all of yourself to every person you meet online, especially. Just go get the vibe. The moment that your intuition's telling you to leave, assess and leave, but just give people a chance, knowing that you're not giving your whole self away. So that's what I think for women, at least.
For sure, yeah. Because the whole idea of relationships is about leverage, right?
Is it?
Because yeah, well, it's leverage in the sense that like if you have intentions and you want something, you know, what are people's leverages, right? Because when you first try to attract the person, like when we first tried to attract each other, my leverage was the fact that like I'm doing something exciting, I'm doing something cool, I have the potential to, you know, be a provider and be a family man and stuff like that. That's my leverage. That's what I am basically bringing to the table. And
Okay.
your leverage, and this is very simple. This is very simple for women. Your leverage was the fact that you chose not to sleep with me for the first multiple weeks of just being in the relationship. The only reason, and the reason why that's super important, is because that's your leverage. You know what I'm saying? Your literally your body is your leverage. You know what I'm saying? Because guys want to, and in that period of time, you can see the red flags. You can see what other people's true intentions are, and you don't have to sleep with them. So if you know if a girl wants to get into a relationship, the best advice that I could give as a guy, based on what I would want as a guy in the beginning, is like don't sleep with that other person. Like try and talk to them, get all the red flags out as much as possible as you can. You know, because if you don't sleep with them, you'll know within the first few weeks if there's red flags enough for you to want to leave, or if these are something that, you know, things that we can work on. You know.
Yeah, you said it right there. It's like for women especially, you can get to know a guy and be intimate with them without having sex with them.
Exactly.
Like you can be close to them, talk to them. And I think a big part before you even start online dating or dating in general, if you know that you're kind of rocky with that and like you kind of you tend to give yourself away, is you have to have boundaries within yourself and know when to say no.
Yep.
And I feel like that, I wish I could have told my younger self that, especially like with previous relationships I've had. And that also just kind of goes into, it's like another tangent, but like, you know, healing your father wounds and stuff. But point is like being able to have those boundaries within yourself will help you say no when it comes to like being faced with a guy that you kind of like, but you want to please him and sleep with him. But that actually is a great segue to what the question that girl that she commented. If you want to
Yeah,
talk about that,
of
because
course.
it touches on it.
Yes. So the comment is going to be right here. And the comment says, from New York Jenna, I'm thankful for the three of you diving into unfiltered topics that you don't usually
With
find.
Amanda.
With Amanda, yeah. Find available online. I just moved to a new city and met a guy who I connect with in my class. We have taken things physical after hanging out for a few months, and we continue to do so without establishing a relationship. We're both relatively young, early and mid 20s, and transparent about the ways we're working on ourselves and our goals
good.
individually. Do you think this is a recipe for failure in the future? I'm scared that he'll only see me as a friend, but I value the relationship we have. I think if he meets someone new in the future, there is no possibility of being friends. What are your thoughts on physical relationships with your friends? Oh, there's a lot of context.
Okay, good. So good dive in.
Yeah, I'll just summarize it.
Paraphrase.
Yeah. She said, I do want a relationship with him, but it's not possible right now. Probably because of school. He'll be studying abroad for 6 months after this semester. We both have heavy workloads.
I've been there before.
Okay, yeah, I got you. Okay.
Should I go?
So, go ahead.
Okay. I say this, I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this because I actually went through this exact scenario. And of course, this is me projecting my own experience, my own life experience, when you have your own life experience, and this may not even be true. But when a guy says that and you're unclear about where you stand, that's like the nice way of him saying that he's gonna study abroad and probably fuck around and he wants to keep maybe your communication so that when he comes back, he'll probably fuck around with you or whatever. And I think the truth is like you're as a woman, you're probably already getting emotionally invested, And it's kind of hard because there's like no turning back now because you've already been physical with him. But at the end of the day, it's typically the girl that gets the short end of the stick here because he's gonna leave abroad, you're gonna have all these feelings, you honestly probably want some sort of like romantic connection with him, but it's just not gonna happen anytime soon. And I feel like if you actually really want to have a real relationship with him, I would, it's the hardest thing, but I would just try to be friends and cut off the physical, like sleeping around and stuff, because that way you could genuinely be friends and you won't have to feel any type of way if you find out he has a girlfriend overseas or something. I don't know. But I think the hardest part is like, how do you just go back from like having feelings and sleeping around when that's the hard part. And that's why I got hurt though, and I got my heart broken. And that's why me and that person don't talk anymore. But if me and him never ended, then I wouldn't have met you. So
Sure.
everything kind of leads you to where you're meant to be. And again, that's my own projected experience from past trauma, which may not even happen in this case, but that is just the truth, and I want to be real. So what do you think, babe?
That's very good. I love everything that you said.
Thank you. As a guy, what do you think?
Yeah. So I love this question. It's a very specific question.
Thank you for being vulnerable, because that's
Yes.
hard.
Thank you. Appreciate that. What I'll say from a guy's perspective, and I'll preface this with saying there's a term in marketing called anchoring. Basically, when you're in conversation with somebody, the first dollar figure that somebody says is what everyone's going to be focused on, and that's the anchor. So if somebody says something more, something less, to be like, no, like we said this number first. So the reason I say that is because what happens when you immediately, or not immediately, but after a few months, like if they're a friend and you just become friends with benefits, there's like no rolling back any of that, right? That's the anchor. So they're going to just see you as a friend with benefits. They may potentially see you as a relationship, but as far as going back to regular friendship,
Probably not gonna happen, huh?
because that anchor is already set on friends with benefits, there's no rolling it back to friends.
So
Because it's already anchored in his mind that, okay, this girl hooked up with me, so now it's either going to be hook up with me or like not at all.
yeah,
right?
there's probably no
So-
friends doing.
So my advice as a guy is be okay, fully prepare yourself to understand that this will most likely end, and it most likely, potentially, I don't know who's younger or older in this scenario, but I'm assuming that the guy is...
He's 20 still.
Yeah, he's 20, right? So
20s, yeah.
assuming that it's going to not end in your favor, the best thing to do is just prepare yourself that if it were to end, that's okay.
That's real advice.
Because the thing is, the anchor is already set. There's nothing that can be done about rolling it back to just be friends, because if a guy is friends with a girl and they become friends with benefits, then as soon as the girl doesn't want to be friends with benefits anymore, she revokes the benefits, there's no way for the guy in his mind
To be
to
friends.
remove the anchor to go back to friends.
That's
Unless
real.
it's like, the thing is, that is the highest probability of what's going to happen.
Yeah, anything
Of
could
course,
happen.
anything could happen. Of course, he could be...
We don't know you.
Yeah,
We don't know
exactly.
him.
Yeah, he could be in a relationship with you. He could be okay and like be friends with you. That's fine. But the thing is, the highest possibility and probability of what's going to happen is that it's going to end with you guys no longer being friends and just going your separate ways. Now, you're absolutely right. Women do get like screwed over when they do friends benefits, which is why I, as a guy, simply try to not advocate for friends with benefits at all. Just either be friends or choose to want to be in a relationship. But do not like hook up with them whatsoever, because that moves the anchor. It's something that can only go one way. It's a one-way thing, right? So, like for example, you're my fiance. We're engaged. I don't see a reality in which we could ever go back to friendship. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know how Tara Yummy does it.
So, of course, so there's always the exception.
Yeah,
right?
there's an exception.
And the thing is, yes, the exception exists as a reality, but it's the least probable thing that could happen, right? That's why they're called exceptions. So my advice is prepare to no longer be friends with, no longer have this person in your life. And that's okay, exactly what you said at the end, because this heartbreak or this person will lead you to the person that you will eventually want to
That
be
was
with.
the best thing that happened in my scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because nothing happens without a reason. So
Yeah.
if the reasoning for this relationship in your life is happening because you experienced it, commented on our video, we now talk about it, and you prepare yourself that I'm gonna be able to move on, even though I have to maybe suffer some pain right now. Because the way that women get hurt in these relationships is their emotions get involved. The only way their emotions get involved is if they sleep with this person. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's also possible to experience, vulnerability and stuff without like sex, for example. But the thing is, friends with benefits only benefits the guy,
It's true.
because at the end of the day, the guy gets the sex, and he doesn't even have to give any commitment. It's kind of like
Like kind of what the girl was saying.
yeah, it's kind of like
Other
going.
girl.
Yeah, it's almost it's like going to Sephora, and you get like a $30 makeup thing for free, like a sample, and you just leave. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go back and buy there anymore. You know?
Why would you go back?
Yeah, exactly. You already got it. You know what I'm saying? So the anchoring is very important, because if you set the intention that, hey, I want a relationship, for like, that's what I'm looking for, that's why I'm talking to the person of the opposite gender. If I want a relationship, then that sets the anchor to, okay, it's going to be this, right? So let's work towards that. So the anchor in a guy's mind can only go one direction. It can only go friends with benefits, relationship, marriage, family, right? It only goes in that direction. It never goes backwards.
Yeah.
So that's my advice. Be okay with losing him, and know that the next person you're going to meet is going to be the reason why you had to experience this.
Exactly. Listen to your intuition. And I wish when I was going through that, what is it? When I had to break things off with that person, because I didn't listen to the advice that I'm giving you now, and I experienced probably the worst case scenario of it, which ended up in cheating and all this stuff, and I had all these traumatic issues that we had to undo. So save yourself. Like, what I wish I could have done is, like, the moment that person left, is going abroad, that's where it ends. Don't try to do this long distance shit, because you probably know in the back of your mind it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
So if you feel any inkling of that, trust that and move on. Dating apps, there's so many other people. And I'm not saying sleep around. I'm saying just, even if you just go on a date and like you just talk to a new person, and even just like use it to, like, I used to use dates as trauma dumping, and I would talk about the situations I'm in. No, anyway, you will feel less attached to this guy, because this guy is probably the only guy, or one of the only guys you're really talking to and being vulnerable on that level. But the moment that you start talking to other people, then it puts him off the pedestal, and you could actually move on. So that's all I'm gonna say with that. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, cool. So
Cool. Love it.
sending you love. Everything's gonna work out, I promise,
Yeah.
in some way or form.
Yeah. If anyone has any other comments or questions, like,
We'd
feel
love
free to
to
post them. We'll
answer.
answer them. That's fine. And if you have
Yeah.
any comments on what we said, we would love to hear it. Also, it's totally okay if you got your feelings involved and you want to do long distance and you want to do all that.
It's okay.
It's totally okay, because you'll probably feel this way in this moment, and that's fine. But just know that eventually it'll work out this way.
Yeah.
So,
Honor your feelings, but really, like, tap into long term. Like, what is gonna save me from the most heartbreak? Anyway, yeah.
totally.
Wait, I know we have other things involved, but I kind of want to touch on it a little bit, because I think it's fun, and
Sure.
I'm not hating on these people. I actually love these people, but I am so, like, fascinated with the relationship dynamic with Tara Yummy, her ex-boyfriend, who's her best friend, and his new girlfriend. Are you familiar with any of that?
Vaguely.
I can give you just the meat of it.
Sure.
So Tara Yummy dated Jake Weber for like 6 years. Like, they were like, they're best friends, like, like us. But then, because they're in, like, I want to say early 20s, they made the mutual decision to break up, so that they live in LA, they're hot or whatever. They probably want to, like, experience other people and other experiences. So Jake now allegedly, I don't know if it's official, but it's pretty implied, he's dating this new girl, Kenzie, which was in their friend group. Like, they all collectively hung out as friends prior, when Jake and Tara were together. But the kicker is, Tara and Jake are still best friends and they hang out all the time. They all hung out at Coachella together. And the way that they justify it is like they have so much love for each other that they still want to be in each other's lives, but they want them to be happy. And if this matters at all, Jake is also like is on the spectrum. I don't know if that matters. That may not matter at all. But what do you think about that? Like, do you think people could actually like there's a situation where ex-lovers could be platonic best friends and hang out with like the new girlfriend and they're all just like a throuple friendship? Or is that not likely? Do you think they're just putting a happy face for the camera because it brings on the views and some people are suffering inside?
From the videos I've seen of them, it seems genuine.
Really?
It doesn't seem like they're putting on a happy face for the
Really?
social media.
That's good.
I think it's genuine.
Okay.
I think it has a lot to do with the culture of LA. Just being like sex is just so low value there that like anyone can just sleep with anything, and it's almost just like transactional at this point.
Really? I can't
Like
do that.
because I the only way that you could have like that boundary in your mind about different people and stuff is based on how you value sexuality and how you look at it. Right? Because to them it's got to be. Now the thing is, their relationship 1000% is the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
So it's not the highest probability thing that could work out. It's a reality that exists to be friends with ex-lovers and like whatever. But it's not. This is not the normal progression of people's relationships.
Okay, yeah.
I think it does have a lot to do with Jake being a little bit on the spectrum. I don't know how much he seems like a completely normal person to me.
Yeah, I mean, they're normal in their own right.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
But yeah.
Tara also seems normal, and I'm happy that they have this relationship where that works out. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That is completely foreign to me.
Yeah, it's foreign to me
It's foreign
too.
because it's not traditional. And the only reason I subscribe to traditionalism is because tradition has worked since before Jesus Christ all the way up until now. The thing that's held humanity together is
Yeah.
tradition. And so I look at their relationship and I think that's amazing. If that works for them, they're certainly the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
And it's just I'm open-minded about how about like the different understandings of culture and how do they view it
Same.
and what is it,
I find it fascinating.
because like I think sex is a very sacred thing. You know what I'm saying it's very sacred in the sense that like it's the closest two people can be
Soul
together.
tying.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But to people in LA, it just seems like it's just a transaction. Like, like here's some money. Where's my BJ? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it seems like. It seems like it doesn't have that traditional high sacred value
For some
because
people.
it's probably just completely widespread over there. You know what I'm saying? It's like the zombie apocalypse, but instead of people becoming zombies, it's just like sex just becomes
It's just a cultural
devalued
thing.
almost. It's just like
Yeah.
you're expected to give sex and like demand it and stuff like that. And if it works for them, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? I know he bought her a G-Wagon. That's fantastic.
I
You know what
know.
I'm saying? And they're also like super rich.
Good for them.
Like all these things is like super rich, all these opportunities. I could get sex anywhere, so it doesn't mean anything to me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
And then the culture of everyone thinks this is okay. You know what I'm saying? Everyone says it's okay too. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It's all like in a superficial culture, superficial things seem completely fine and okay. Not to say that their relationship is superficial, just like the culture in general
Yeah.
doesn't promote like the traditionalism that I'm used to. And it's 1000% like a new way to look at it. You know what I'm saying? These are
Yeah.
certainly people that have been raised on iPads and iPhones. And, they came up during that time. And that's totally cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As millennials, we still got to see the progression of, having no phones, playing outside, not having any access to information, all the way to now we have incredible entertainment and information is now a commodity. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, yeah, I mean, if it works for them, that's great.
Yeah.
They certainly seem happy
They all seem happy.
and
so.
they seem genuine.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they're not being deceptive or anything like that. So.
I think Tara and Jake's relationship is really cute and pure, and I really feel like there's a mutual love and respect for each other. And I think that they genuinely want each other to be happy. And I also think his new girlfriend is like gorgeous and she seems very emotionally mature as well. So yeah, I was just curious because it's like an anomaly to me, but because of course you always look at it and you apply and like I could never do that or like you would think of your scenario, but if it works for them, that's awesome. Cool.
That's
Okay,
fantastic. Yeah.
on to the next one.
Cool. Just like the last thing, we're just gonna we'll just do one of the questions. And so the last question I have before we wrap this up is personal, actually, for us. So we're in a relationship.
We are. Just
Yes.
kidding.
And so based on what you got and what you didn't get said to you when you're growing up and stuff, what as a girl, what would you like me to say more of that makes your life better and certainly helps overwrite all like the past kind of things? And then I can give you like one as well. So, what is something that if I could say could just make your life better?
I just thought that was a sweet question. I don't know why I'm like tearing up already.
That's okay.
I think it's because like we've been through a lot in these past couple weeks.
Oh my god, I know, yeah.
But
True.
yeah, I feel like growing up, being the oldest, and I'm sure you can relate, like I didn't really get told that I was doing a good job a lot or like that I was beautiful or pretty.
Yeah.
I'm already crying, so it's fine. I welcome the tears, but and I noticed that like even that kind of whenever we argue and stuff, we mutually kind of come to an agreement with this, but for me, it's like sometimes I feel I guess I'll speak on like an example. So with the weight loss and stuff, I think there was like this, instance we had this week where I had a moment of weakness. I ate the tube of M&Ms my mom gave me for Easter and, I was disappointed in myself and I took it upon I want to exercise the honesty and open communication we have in our relationship and I told you about it and you weren't like pissed at me, but it was one of those things where because it had happened like one too many times and I complain about it, it was just like, okay, it wasn't like our brightest moment, but I was we had like a little argument and I was kind of upset because I felt as if like you didn't see the fact that even though I did have that moment of weakness, I've been going to Pilates every week. I've been going to dance class. I've been weightlifting and stuff. And in that moment, it made me feel like you only saw that moment of weakness versus all the good things. And then long story short, we came to find out that that's actually how you feel when we have other arguments, when we have arguments parallel to that, whether it's like, I can't even
Yeah,
like, say
feeling like all past good actions
it's like
are completely
nullified
nullified
because of this
by
one moment.
this one little moment that's completely insignificant, and then we say very damning things afterwards.
Yeah, and then but I realize now like the connection to that also is because like growing up I felt as if like my parents never appreciated the things that I did as being the eldest daughter and all like it's not like I suffered a lot growing up, but like I didn't have it the easiest. Like I always had to figure things out the hard way and no one ever guided me and it just felt really lonely and sometimes I feel that way, but I feel that's why it was like a breath of fresh air like meeting you and stuff because I feel like you can understand and I finally have someone that I could like look up to and like seek guidance and stuff like that, but it just always felt like what was even the question? Yeah, I love whenever you encourage me and you point out the good things that I'm doing. And I think the way that I improve, at least like for a lot of things in life, I'm not like someone that does great at like being reprimanded. And I think like having Asian parents or like that stereotypical like Asian tiger mom, it's like your parents, whenever like you're having like say a B in class and they want you to have all A's, they'll like point out like, oh, you're so stupid. Like you gotta work harder and shit. Like that never worked on me. Like the shame and the like negative energy. I do better on like, oh, you showed up to class and you may have a B, but like you came even though you weren't feeling good and like that positive reinforcement that works for me. So I would love to continue being more I guess, positive when we want to improve on things. And I just appreciate you whenever you word it that way. But of course, like I want a partner that will keep me accountable. And when the time when it makes sense and you have to call me out on things and just do it in the way that you can do it, that makes sense too.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
yeah.
It's funny, you actually answered all three questions when I thought that we're just gonna answer one. But good job. No,
Yay.
but 100% on the like the whole eldest thing. The only thing I would say about that is, yeah, like growing up as the eldest sibling, I had expectations put upon me that I never received a guidebook for.
Yeah.
That I never
Even we
received.
still
You know what I'm
do.
saying? And it pisses me the fuck off.
Yeah. It's like,
Like-
no one told us how to do these things.
Like no one told me how to be a good brother. No one told me how to be a good son. Nobody showed me how to do any of this. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you would, say that, oh, that's the dad's job or whatever. But my dad was always working because
Same.
my dad was, my mom was a housewife. So it's just like I was expected to have and do things for things that I was never taught to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine you work for like T-Mobile and you like all of a sudden you get put in on the floor and you have no idea how any of the systems work.
Yeah.
And you're just expected to figure it the fuck out. Give me a fucking break. That's how I felt for most of my life.
Yeah. And I
So-
feel that way too.
Yeah, and I don't feel that way anymore because I kind of just said like fuck this to the point where like that shit just like bounces off me.
Yeah.
But also I've completely like finished the cycle of all these expectations. Now I know I'll never do it wrong again. We're good to go. You know what I'm saying? And I prove that, you know what I'm saying? And then that's it.
That's good.
As far as the nullification of past good actions and arguments, yeah, that's exactly how I feel like. And the biggest like triggers for me is which is so opposite to what the question was, but it's okay. We'll just touch on that really quick, and I'll just say it really quick. But yeah, it's that feeling of we're in an argument, and let's say it was because you had a moment of weakness and you ate like a whole tube of M&Ms or whatever, which I know you never did, But
hate
and then you're like, oh my god, I got the worst sleep and blah 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 and all this stuff, and I'm just like, oh my god, then why did you think about this when you're eating the M&Ms? I'm just giving an example of like how the argument will go, right? It's like,
Yeah.
why did you eat all these M&Ms, blah blah blah, and you'd be like, oh my god, like I just had a moment of weakness, and then I'm just like, well, can we just like not do that again, because like that's
It's like a
completely-
pattern at that point.
it's literally counterintuitive to your weight loss goals and whatever, and be like, I get that I'm fat, why don't you just find like a skinny bitch? You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, that'll be like an example argument. Not that that's verbatim what happened to us. That's kind of like a very summarized version.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, okay, when I hear, why don't you just go find a skinny bitch after all the things that I've done
know,
for you, after all the good actions I've taken to make sure you feel loved and heard and all that stuff, after making you feel like I'm supporting you with your weight loss and this is just me keeping you accountable and stuff, now I should just go find a skinny bitch. It's just like, okay, now everything that I've done in the past no longer matters. All the good stuff, the bad stuff doesn't matter because it's just amplified, but all the good that I've done, proposing to you and asking you to be my girlfriend, none of that matters because now I should find a skinny bitch because of this one argument, right? That feeling that you had when we had this argument is how I felt all the time about the religion, about like family arguments that we had, about like a bunch of other stuff, because it always end the same way. You would want to run away because you're not a fighter. I totally understand that. But by wanting to run away, things get said that
I don't mean.
that of course that you don't mean, of course. Of course, I'm sure you mean them in the moment just to, apply the hurt, and I get that. That's
So I
fine.
could leave.
Yeah, so you could leave. But it's
Temporarily.
like, okay, cool. Yeah, so I've done all the stuff that I want to do, but this one thing makes you want to leave, so now I have to find a skinny bitch. And I'm just like, what, what I'm saying? So, but that feeling that you felt is how I feel about our arguments, like most of the time. And I'm not like calling you out on that. I have come to welcome it because of course, I know you don't mean them. The hurt bounces right off of me and it's totally okay. But to summarize what you said in the beginning is you would like to hear more that you're doing a great job, which you always are, that you're beautiful, which you are, and that we just make sure that I hold you accountable to your goals, because I know you like to deviate sometimes, and that's okay. But I'm always here to help.
Thank you. I love
As
you.
far as what I would like to hear as a guy is, and the thing is, I'll just keep it like to one thing, because this is like a really simple, easy thing, that if girls say this to their husbands and their boyfriends or whatever, take notes. So, and you say this sometimes too, because we said this really early in our relationship, but my favorite thing that you say to me is, "Thank you for always working so hard for us." I'm just like, that's great, because guys don't get recognized for their work. You know, they just
Yeah.
kind of are expected to grind and make this money and pay all the bills, and you know, the housewife lives off the back of that, and that's okay. But just a thank you.
You go through a lot.
You know what I'm saying? I certainly do go through a lot, and I appreciate you recognizing that and thanking me for doing so. Because the thing is, like, at the end of the day, guys do everything for their girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, sometimes I would like to get a car for myself, or I like to get a guitar or some music or whatever. Who cares? But like everything else that happens in a guy's life, the guy does for their significant other. You know, and guys simply just don't get the recognition to that. So when the girl gives the recognition, that guy will never fucking leave. That's a fact.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's it.
yeah. Well, thank you.
I'm surprised I could say all of that without like fully tearing up. But
Aw.
like that's a pretty important thing that girls 1000% have to do to keep the relationship. Now, could you keep it like without saying that? Sure, but the possibility of when you say that astronomically grows the possibility of the guy wanting to stay when they're recognized for just simply busting their fucking ass, giving their life force to the universe so that you can have nice nails,
Thank
a beautiful home, a beautiful ring,
I know you went
and
through a
all
lot.
the food in the
give me
fridge
this.
that you would ever want to eat. So
Thank you, baby.
that's it. Yep.
Well, that helped, and I hope we helped somebody out there.
Hopefully.
But yeah, this was a good therapy session for me.
That's
but
cool.
but yeah, if you guys have any topics you want us to touch on, please let us know. We just want to provide value to at least one person for every episode. So we love y'all and have a great week.
Yes, and if you disagree with anything or you want to leave a comment, that's totally fine. We would love to hear it. And if there's anything you want us to talk about, feel free to comment and we'll address it in our videos, since we're small enough to be able to do that. I think that's
Yay.
cool. So
Bye.
bye.
Yeah.